Welcome to Unit 9 of EDSE 614. It's amazing to think that we've already reached Unit 9. Time flies when you're having fun. Thank you for all of your hard work so far. And do keep an eye on our course schedule as we move forward. You will notice that the course will have some upcoming 2-week-long units, and the course schedule document does detail the deadlines and the way that those units will work. So please do keep an eye. You can see clarifications regarding discussion posts, etc. for 2-week units. And those units will just give you a little bit more time to focus in on our major project as well as some other assignments, making sure that you're really getting that intervention in place, the data collected and summarized, and that you're ready to go with turning in a complete and thorough final submission as we near the end of our course. However, for now, in Unit 9, we will remain on the 1-week unit schedule for this week. We have a couple different things to focus on this week. We will be taking a look at adaptations, particularly in our activity discussion for participation credit, and that will be connected to the John's text, which you've had the opportunity to really read kind of based on your pace and your needs and your focus. As you can see in past units, you've been reading at your preferred pace, but we do want to be done with that text actually by the end of Unit 8. We want to have that finished. So now moving into Unit 9, we really can connect it and apply it and show that application in our activity discussion. So you'll see here assigned reading as usual. John's text should be all complete and read. You will finish the Colvin text shortly here, so do keep an eye on that reading schedule as well. You'll be reading Shay this unit. And you can see we've got our discussion activity, and that's for participation credit, which will go just as they typically do for a 1-week unit when it comes to the deadlines. There is a progress check survey. This will take you really only a minute or two. It's a quick and easy 0-point value, but please do complete it. It's an opportunity for you to share what you have done so far for your FBA BIP and what you still need to do. So you'll have the option to check some boxes. Just confirm that you're aware that I'm here and happy to help, or meet with you, chat with you if that would be something that would benefit you in this process. So please do knock that one out. It's a little quiz. It'll be fast. You have your journal number 3 submission here this week, and that'll be due on the final day of the unit at 11:59 p.m. per usual. And of course, you'll be going through all of the pages within the unit. So here in Unit 9, there is a written lecture here, so please do review this. It's all about talking about the intervention as we get going, impacts of the environment, etc., and some of these factors that we can or cannot control. So there's information up here regarding environment, medications, schedules, and all of these. Some of these can be setting events, right? For instance, if a child does not take medication or is moving from home to home and is struggling with a transition in that regard, or there's a situation within the family, all of those things can be setting events that can put us in a place where the target behavior is more likely to occur, for instance. So keep in mind, you'll see in blue here, remember you have a team and you are not alone. And it may feel a little bit like you are doing this rather independently for the assignment, but please know that in practice, it should not be just one person doing everything for the behavior intervention plan FBA process. You really want that input and collaboration. So perhaps the mental health provider, the special education teacher, perhaps some administrators, parents or guardians, even the student doing an interview if that's something that is possible. Getting those different individuals on the team to be involved. I've had some questions about how many observations, how long. This feels like a lot to get the baseline data, and I want to express to all of you that I totally realize it does feel like a lot, and perhaps in an applied setting when you're working on an FBA BIP, not for a course project, but for the plan itself, for part of the IEP, or for turning that over to the parents and family. That is something where others might do observations as well. So perhaps as applicable, you may have an autism specialist, an occupational therapist, a speech language pathologist, yourself in your role. You may have a school psychologist or whoever else would have relevant information to include. Those people may help with the interviewing or the observations, and then all of that will be compiled. So please do keep in mind, we are all here to help in a school-based team. That is the role of that multidisciplinary team, is for you to feel like you're not alone in that process. So you'll see a list here about different professionals who may be helpful in FBA BIP process, and those who even can contribute advice or information or observation as you are developing the document. Okay. So here again, information about factors that can contribute. There are some documents in the unit that will provide you with more information as well, particularly about how to work with students with autism and their families, and how to connect with parents or guardians as you are developing a behavior intervention plan. So please do review this written lecture. And remember, you're not alone. That is the whole concept for the multidisciplinary approach. On this page, we're taking a look at data collection for the functionally equivalent replacement behavior, which we discussed previously, and the intervention that we're going to have in place that you will have developed. You'll put that intervention in place, and then you'll be collecting the data after baseline. You'll see that phase change line. Baseline data, you should have already done or be nearing an end with this. Phase change, intervention data. So that's what we're going to be starting to work on here. And please do let me know if you have concerns about the timeline. We've had several weeks to really get going on that baseline, and so this we will be wrapping up soon if you have not already. You can see here, just as an example for this graph, if the intervention was implemented and then the target behavior of noncompliance was occurring, say up here near 60% almost, and then went all the way down to 20%. That's a very fantastic thing to observe, as a decrease of that noncompliant behavior. And the on-task behavior, which is that occurrence of the replacement behavior, has gone up from 40 to 80. So that's fantastic. This is not what your graph will necessarily need to look like, because if you think about it, you have just recently identified your replacement behavior, your functionally equivalent replacement behavior, based on all of your FBA processes so far. So that's something that you would not have on your baseline graph because you hadn't even identified it yet, so you probably won't have data on that. Instead, this graph is just an example for us to look at together. It's something that's more comprehensive than what we would have done because we had not yet identified that replacement behavior. However, by reading this, we do see that the intervention did have very fast results. And you'll see the point also that when you're using this type of examination, the data points and lines for problem and replacement behaviors should be very clear and different. So if you were to graph occurrences of two different kinds of things, you'll want to make sure that they don't look the same. And you don't want to connect points across this phase line either. So those are just two little formatting things to keep in mind. At this point, if you are struggling to identify a functionally equivalent replacement behavior as a part of your intervention, please let me know, because we do need to get moving on that, and I am here to help. And finally, the two most important components, the fidelity of implementation of the intervention. Everybody doing it and doing it right and doing it consistently. And when I say everybody, I mean teachers, paraeducators or educational assistants, Anybody else in contact with a student where the implementation would be relevant? So that could be special or general education teachers, that could be administrators as relevant. Again, this is all situational depending on the student and who the student may come into contact with. But fidelity of implementation and consistency is key. Otherwise, our data is useless and worthless because we really haven't put anything into place in a way that it can truly be measured for success. These are the resources that were just referenced. So you'll be able to open these up. There is a parent guide information that can be provided to parents about autism, and this is valuable for you to look through as well. Please do. It's information that could be good for families as well as for yourself to learn more about autism spectrum disorder and related information. You should be able to open these other sites as well. The National Institute of Mental Health can provide us with some great information, tools and resources, and these are just for you to keep in mind. For our activity discussion, which was referenced a little bit earlier, you will be doing that this week in our unit, taking a look at the John's text, which you should be finished reading, and you're going to be thinking about impact on the academic physical environment. So what can you do to support the environment and to adapt, have that adaptation in the environment to support students in avoiding the target behavior and instead in more frequent use of the functionally equivalent replacement behavior, or removing some of those issues within the setting? So you're going to focus on the adaptations that you would use to support the social behaviors of students. Definitely go through John's looking for social adaptations. And when you're thinking about the environment, social adaptation is definitely a part of that. So do find something in the John's text. You want at least 2 adaptations that you would use for social support. And again, that's part of the environment. Social support for the student that you've been working with in your project. Describe them, describe why the adaptations that you identified would be effective, and then you'll be referencing the John's text to show us which page you got your adaptation from. So please do really think and be mindful about the ones that you select. Don't just pick 2 off the page. Think about what would help the student that you have chosen most effectively. And remember, the environment, social is definitely a part of that. So that's why we're taking a look at these social adaptations. And then finally, as usual, you will comment in response to at least 2 others by the end of the unit. This is the progress check quiz. You can take it quickly and easily. And then we've got our journal number 3. This is the same as what we have done before when it comes to formatting. You all have done a really nice job on these journals. So it's just a chance for you to reflect and consider. Remember, the rubric is the best place to find out what really is the area of focus here. So please do address the readings clearly. It's really important to do that. Not just to reference them in your own minds, but to use the name of that author and really make it clear. Here's what I'm talking about from Shay, or from Colvin, or from John. So that is the best way to earn full credit here. And that's it for Unit 9. Please let me know if you have any questions.